Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining the Behind Company Lines podcast. Today we have Nigel Verdon, CEO and co-founder of Rails, the world's leading embedded finance experiences platform. Nigel, thank you so much for making time today. I'm really excited to learn about what you're doing at Rails. Is it Rails or Railsr? I was toying around because it was Railsbank at one point, right?
Sure, thanks for the invitation, Julian. It is Railsr, and
Yeah.
we also have a video, if you go to our Twitter feed or
Okay.
LinkedIn, and that gives an explanation of how to finance it. Because when we
Gotcha.
launched Money 2020 in Europe back in June,
Yeah.
people are asking, how do you finance it? So we had to make a video just to make yeah.
Well, I love that, and I'm really excited about kind of what you're working on and how the conception of the idea came. But before we get into all that, I noticed your background. You were this is not your first fintech startup. This is one of many that you've been working on so far, and kind of you have a deep background in finance and fintech, especially. But what was the conception? What was behind the idea, and what led up to building something like Railsr?
Sure. The previous company I founded was called Currency Cloud. And we were in that wave of end of 2011. I founded in 2007, but around 2011, 2012, the sort of fintech scene, or the moniker, was made up in Q1 2012. And pretty much all of us, ourselves, Revolut, TransferWise, Cedars, all Monzo and others, all had to build the same infrastructure for about 9 to 15, 18 months before we started really doing any customer business. And that infrastructure was basically plumbing, financial plumbing. So connecting up payments, cards, bank accounts, all that sort of stuff, and get it to work. So we thought there must be a better way. The same way, we started Currency Cloud, we had to go to data center, hire like racks, go and rent computers, stick them on the racks, routers or routers as you call them. And it was this, AWS changed that with a credit card, and 5 minutes, you've got your data center online. So we thought, let's do that for financial services infrastructure. And that's what we went out and built to help accelerate initially fintech companies launching. So they could
Yeah.
literally forget the infrastructure 9 to sort of 15, 18 months and go straight into product. And one of our early customers, WageStream, which is a wage advancing business, they came to us and said, as well as only two of them, there's two co-founders, Portman and Pete, asked could they use their use case being run on us, and said, yeah, sure, could be. If we use our APIs, the sandbox with real money is available. You don't need to even talk to us. Those are documentations online. They built a prototype in 4 days and they launched the business in 2 months. And so that is the show of the acceleration that you can get by having built the infrastructure before. They thought they
Yeah.
had to take 12 plus months to build the infrastructure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just like what AWS did the data center markets, machine learning markets, and we're trying to do the same we have done the same for the financial infrastructure market.
Yeah. What do you think in regards to companies like Railsr and kind of helping companies come up online and do, building infrastructure, financial infrastructure so quickly? What does that do in terms of like the macro scale, in getting customers and accelerating, revenue and every kind of metric that you see traditionally, would take longer and longer to build and get things upline. How does that change the landscape today with companies, not having to go through such long hurdles to get offline and active?
Sure. The key thing is it's allowing, say, fintech companies to pretty much immediately start experimenting with their value prop and their experience and their product market fit and customer acquisition, rather than building infrastructure. So you've got immediate acceleration into getting your own consumers or SMEs, depending which market
Yeah.
you serve. So that acceleration has enabled companies to grow super fast. And that's in the launch company. And because we're live in different countries, it's the same thing. Instead of spending another 12 to 18 months launching a new country, it's you can launch in the same space of time and have a new region. So Railsbank done that as a result. So that is the same. Keep coming back to AWS is a fantastic business. Amazon built out of their own need of building infrastructure. Open launch servers in Frankfurt, in Dublin, in different parts and states and all over the world to balance everything out. And don't have to worry about where the physical location actually is or the physical device. They handle all that for us, and I can launch a new business super quick. And anybody who's not in finance, just launching a business on Amazon or Google Cloud and equivalent of really jumpstarts being able to get as a tech company into market super quick. So it's all
Yeah.
about acceleration and speed and do the most important thing, which is figure out, do customers buy your value prop? And
Yeah.
raise money. And I think all the customers on our platform, they've raised roughly about $2 billion of equity financing, which is a testament that if you sort of running Railsr, you have a good chance of raising capital as well.
Yeah. When you think about getting a company or getting a customer to, pay for your value prop and kind of adopt your platform or service or product, what are the questions you ask or what's the process like from your experience now that this is, I think it says your third fintech startup, but you've been advising startups and investing as well. And you know, so involved in building companies. What's that process like? How do you get somebody to adopt your value prop?
Sure. The first thing is you get a value prop up there and don't worry about features. Features are something for delivering a value prop. And I think probably the best example of it was Dropbox. So it was Casebook study now, where they sort of value prop from a landing page in a video and a subscribe now to the launch. There's something else got. There's a lot of people who actually want online data storage and available to them super easy. And that's my advice is to people: don't go building this massive product and everything. Test the value proposition, and then the product is essentially the realization and delivery mechanism for the value prop. So
Yeah.
it's don't build a narrow sum, go and test whether people buy it. Then there's the premium thing. I'm quite sort of anti-premium. It's a good, it has its positives. Because you can test whether people use it, stuff or not. But the biggest thing that tests for a customer is going to be a customer is, do they pay?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they value your product
Yeah.
and they keep paying, yes, then it's solving a clear pain point. The value prop is solving a usefulness or solving a pain point or allowing to do something they couldn't do. And hence they will, the exchange of value, they will pay for that.
Yeah.
And that's the best way, rather than just build and sell lots of features. Because you may get some customers, but you're not going to get a massive growth of them.
Yeah. When you think about what one founder was discussing this idea of push and pull, that a lot of companies, push their product out and get people to adopt it, and especially on their journey to getting funding, almost like convincing that the market is now pulling their product and that it's a need and necessity. How much of what you've seen in regards to companies, how much of them are pushing products and trying to figure out the way their customers can adopt, and how many of them have a genuine pull, something that's so valuable to them that the degree of demand is so big that they have to keep up with it. What do you see?
So you really do want your product to be pulled. That's because
Yeah,
if it's a necessity to people's lives, and they live their life through it or whatever. So like Instagram and others. That's a wonderful thing to have. And that's a portion. It's the holy grail almost. there's also, you can make very successful businesses by pushing and experimenting. And it's almost you see the companies that have got into the pool scenario, they've probably experimented with a ton of different value props, marketing message, target market, target audience, etc. I have a colleague of mine, he's ex-McKinsey guy. He owned this business to help people fund their travel tickets in London. So it's a season ticket, which costs a amount of money. And they're able to get discounts by funding the ticket, and you get automatically get a 2-month discount, and they took 1 month of it. So it's they saw digital channels, everybody were digital channels. It wasn't until they actually hit good old paper advertising in the metro, in the tube, that they've become poor, because that was placed at a relevant point, was marketed at a relevant point. And that came back to the sort of tenets of marketing, the pricing, positioning, product, and promotion. Get those right in the marketing mix. It's an old theory,
Yeah.
but to be balanced and right, and you will get that sort of pull.
Yeah. And you say that's through testing.
Yeah. Another one was a business I was involved with. Just mainly advising them, because it was the guy was a good friend of mine, and he just asked me, "Can you help him with his business?" So I said yes, and then it kind of, whether it was stupidly says yes or not, but it's good, and it ended up being sold to Santander Bank. But it started off as a business issuing invoices called HQ and it's all about selling invoices. And I just looked online, looked in the App Store, how many invoicing businesses are there, and there's tons of them. So
Yeah.
I went to the standard, said, "Look, let's see how you can make invoices appealing to people, because they're a really boring thing. People don't wake up in the morning and say, 'I'm going to buy an invoice.'" And played with some ideas over a couple of glasses of wine, and he came up with the idea of this sort of, what's your business what's your app trying to actually do for your customers? And it's not invoicing. Okay. And what he figured out is he's saving customers time. So it was for freelancers. So freelancers could get their weekends back. Freelancers got their evenings back. They're not doing accounting stuff. They're not issuing invoices. It's all done for you, and it's giving you free time. And so then conversation went to what's giving you free time. And then we sort of worked around the idea that if you make it personal, and you personalize the app, and the app changed its name to, has a couple of names they settled on. Albert was the name. Albert gives you time back. And that just rapidly changed it. It wasn't about invoices.
Yeah.
It just happened to do invoices. And they ended up selling it to Santander after about 3 years. So
Yeah.
a nice story of a great sort of founder and CEO who really tried to understand and listen to the fact that a bit of advice, invoices are boring, and they're advising. That's just said of it.
Yeah. Now that you kind of, well, obviously, you've been involved in helping your friend, and you've been involved in Railsr and so many companies. What are the different levels or stages that you've seen companies go through? And of course, I think we think about it a lot in terms of funding rounds, and that's kind of the degree to which a company's successful. It goes to seed, Series A, Series B, VC, maybe private equity, whatever. But what's under the hood? What do you see as the successful milestones or levels or stages, whatever you want to categorize it as, and how are they very distinct from themselves as you think about scaling and growing a company?
Sure. A valuable company is only really as valuable as the customers.
Yeah.
And so funding now is just a sort of a milestone that just happens along a path. But if you really work on just like understanding customer, what pain point you're solving for them, do you emotionally buy, do you get the pull? Those customers build great companies, and And if you hook into your customers while service them well, solve the thing that they need solving, illuminate something they couldn't do before, like sort of the embedded finance market we sit in, that's all together ends up in financing rounds, ends up in floating, because you created value, which is generating revenue that customers are paid in. And so it's really everything centers around the customer and solving for them, and great products solved for the customer.
Yeah. I hear this time and time again, founders talk about understanding your customer and asking questions and identifying their pain points. And I think when we discuss it, we think a lot about it as, individually you can control that, but how do you create maybe a culture around that within your organization? Because it's going to take a lot of different interactions with customers and a lot of different employees who are doing those interactions. But how do you build either a system or culture that creates that kind of feedback loop that helps you understand your customer more?
Sure, it's really depends on the type of product or app you have. Direct to consumer, it's really seeing what do they use, playing with changing colors, changing the value prop, and then getting the data on is cause and effect. Changing the way you market it, changing your sort of like spend on the marketing and different channels. Those will eventually come to, like, that's the one that's going to grow and we're going to invest in. And part of the why you raise capital is always is to discover that. With Railsr, I'd say the same thing is, if you got people who suddenly use it and understanding why they're using it, so pick up the phone to them and say, why are you suddenly growing with your volumes are done up? They just had a marketing campaign, or we found this feature of yours is super useful in our product, and hence that's growing. Or what's stopping you growing because the usage isn't going up? Oh, because your product sucks at this. So okay, so you fix that. Let's see what can help you grow. And it's all back down to the theory that came out of Salesforce Center of Customer Success, is really listening and data and understanding. Another great source of data is service tickets and bug fix or bug reports. And so I think TransferWise, our CLO was 6.5 years at TransferWise. So he runs in Railsr, he runs operations, products, and engineering. And he turned the service function of TransferWise around as one of the many things he did there. He ended up running the TransferWise business product. Was if you analyze all the service tickets, the things that cause that makes your product suck, basically. And there's enough of those tickets, fix that bit, and you get rid of the tickets, and you get a happier customer.
Yep.
And you just iterate through that as well. So you don't have to have all the new features. You just have to have features which the customers don't get frustrated and raise tickets about. So there's those feedbacks, and TransferWise are exceptional at that. Leverage as well, exceptional at it. But TransferWise really have it down to a real art of understanding. Okay, this is a bit where everybody's complaining about. It's button in the wrong place. They put a lot of discovery into that, and then it's done experiments to see which ones get the best adoption, or the different customer profiles for adoption, and then go stick on the one that is fully launched it out.
Yes.
It's a privilege to be able to interact with the customer every day. And I mean, our customers we do millions and millions of dollars of transactions every day. And you can see what they do, what they use. And then it's good old fashioned picking up the phone as well as data.
Yeah. Yeah. In regards to, you and your day to day, as being the, one of the co-founders, the CEO of Railsr, and now that it's becoming, more of a, larger company, what are some responsibilities that you have in your day to day that we might not know of, or that founders might, you know, kind of have in their experience that they don't at a smaller scale, but maybe have to be more responsible of and adjust to as they grow and as their company grows?
I think the sort of role of the CEO, depending on where your background is, it does change in itself. I'm primarily focused on investors and the market and getting the messaging out there. So very much the public facing side of what the brand is around the company. That's what I do in my day job.
Yeah.
And primarily that's what you do. Then you've got to also deal with and make sure your team are okay and sure they're focused and they're looked after, all the care and feeding pieces that need to be done.
Yeah.
And one of them, I'm lucky is I've got a good COO who basically runs the business with the team around him there. So and he's a very product led person. Been trained in TransferWise prior to that, Visa prior to that, PaySafe, and originally in the early days of e-com at Tesco.com. So that's for me. Occasionally, I have to Ethan, I have to get out and edit the website. As a, actually, we've got a request that's just coming on Slack because the person who normally does it is an old lad, so I have to edit the website.
Yeah. What's hard about your job?
Hard is keeping everything motivated
Yeah.
with it and dealing with you get thrown curveballs all the time, and just being able to deal with the curveballs. That's the hardest thing every day because you think it's plain sailing for a while, and then suddenly something just comes out of nowhere. That's difficult to deal with.
Yeah, yeah. In regards to Railsr and the success you've had, and I think you recently closed, a recent round of funding, so congrats on that. What is on the agenda coming in the near future? What are you most excited about in terms of either the partnerships or the advancement of the technology, the platform that you're building? Where's the company at, and what are you excited about in the next chapter after the recent milestone?
Think what's super interesting this current market is probably the most sort of hardest markets and depressed markets I think I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I've had friends of mine who still trade in the institutional credit markets, and they're seeing many of the major banks writing down credit books and selling credit off of 80, 70 cents on the dollar. So, and they're make mutterings of what's worse than a credit crunch and things. So, no, we're in a pretty poor state. Now, what that gives us is opportunity, because growth capital is just not really available at the moment. Pretty much everybody's looking after their portfolio, allocating capital to existing businesses to get them through this time and this area. Equity isn't being priced. Growth equity. You look at Marketo, PayPal, the revenue's going up, that share price going down. And it's dropped 75% since sort of December last year, October, November, December last year. Brand has dropped 80% after flotation upwards up. And so it's not a great market. And equity, growth equity has not been priced. Price is near zero.
Yeah.
So in that side of market, so growth equity is hard to come by. B, doesn't add you any value to your own equity values. But it is a good time to look at M&A and different types of acquisition, different types of merger situations, and all that is a market where you can bring people together to create value. So you're basically bigger, whether product addition, whether it's country addition, business, if you can get like-minded people, because that's how you can take growth out of thing to countries rather than something by growth equity. So it's quite exciting at the moment to be working in the market and looking at multiple M&A opportunities.
Yeah. What's if everything goes well, what's the long-term vision for Railsr?
We'd love to be like AWS's and the data center market, not the financial layer of the internet or the financial infrastructure business. And anybody running finance in any use case, whether it's banking, wallets, cards, credit, rewards, all runs on Railsr.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that I should have?
What's your John speed? things I do outside work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, one thing's, say, just advice to founders is being a founder is actually pretty down lonely job
Yep.
because you are the person who ultimately everything sits on your shoulders ultimately, and carry quite a loaded face, and so it's sort of and mentally it's can drain you and everything. I think one of the things that really focus on is eat well, do your sport or your exercise, whatever you do, or your other hobbies like reading. Get away from the work because it doesn't have to be all consuming. You can get into quiet states mentally to time. I think there's many founders talking about that. Thankfully, there.
Yeah, yeah, then yeah, that echoes a lot of what I'm hearing in terms of just it's such a long journey. It's a marathon for a lot of companies, and the growth is steady. But it's like you have to be conscious about your own personal state because it directly influences the day-to-day operations, how you motivate your team, and everything that encompasses success. It long term because that short-term sacrifice of working a 16-hour day might not lead to the long-term sacrifice. And having that balance is super important. Um, Now that we're coming at time, I always like to ask this question, one for selfish research, but also for my audience as well. What books or people have influenced you the most?
I mean, I'm very much an outdoors person, and there's a guy called Chris Bonington who's a climber, and he's an old man now. He's chairman, I think, of Bug House, the outdoor kit now.
Yeah,
He was a massive influence, and as a kid, I saw slideshows of him climbing up Everest and things. And another chap called Sir Robin Knox Johnson, who's the first guy single-handed solo sailor around the world.
yeah.
They're quite impressive characters.
Yeah, I heard you're familiar with climbing as well. You climbed, I think, what 17,000 feet in the Himalayas or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, that is all perhaps. Is that the fat slide of Anatona, the
Wow.
Anatona in Western Pole.
Yeah,
There's a course called Swan La, and that's about 17,000 feet.
yeah,
It's show that you think of it must be easy. It's just put one foot in front of the other, but that's fine. Good that up.
yeah,
It's fine and stop. And I said I was fit, and no,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
kind of thing.
Is there any other like milestone in terms of hikes or kind of environmental conquering that you're excited for that you have on your horizon?
Oh yeah, there's a route across Corsica called the GR14 Grönland cows kettles, and that is a 2 week like high mountain ridge. They said ridge. You walk in 2 weeks,
Yeah,
absolute stunning views. And the other one take some retirement or take a sabbatical is a Camino that goes out to Camino San Santiago. It's about 3 months walking across southern France, Pyrenees, over to the ocean, so it's spiritual.
wow,
And
yeah,
still down, was it Kirk Douglas or Michael Douglas? He was in it. He lost his son in the mountains and went alone, sort of like a voyage of discovery. I walked
yeah.
the Camino.
Wow. Yeah. Well, good luck with that. I hope to hear that it's a fun and successful trip. And before we end the conversation, I always like to give our founders a chance to let us know where we can support the product, where we can look for news and be a part of the vision, the mission. But give us your LinkedIn, the Twitters, anything that we can know to be a part of the mission and the product.
Sure, it's on LinkedIn. Just go to Railsr. It's Railsr. Search out the video. Told you how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
And I'm there, Nigel Verdon, I think, on LinkedIn. So feel free to connect to me. So you've seen us on the podcast. It's good so you get feedback from the podcast. And also www.railsr.com. If you want to try out the APIs, there's a sandbox on there and a real money sandbox. Just click to get keys. You can be up and running. sending and receiving money in your own sort of like mini sort of banking app, if they're the right one, in under 2 hours. Well, that's our intern test. If you can just sort of create a very, very basic link and they're in 2 hours, then you got an internship.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Nigel, for being on the show. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I love learning about your experience, the different advice that you had, and one, also how you think of things philosophically, but also how you organize into making a successful business side. Better to share this with our audience. But yeah, thank you again for being on the show. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Thank you, Julian, for the invite. A pleasure.